Hello once again, everybody. We're visiting right now with Bailey Echinger with INTL FCStone. Bailey, it's good to have you with us here at the Ohio Agribusiness Association's annual meeting. Wanted to ask you first, give us a little bit of background. You come from a farm?
I do, Gary. So I actually was born and raised on a small family hog farm in southern Michigan and had the opportunity to go to Michigan State University and study agribusiness management. And not long after graduation, started with FCStone in Bowling Green.
Well, tell us a little bit about FCStone and what it does.
So we're a multinational corporation that serves everything from hedging and commodity risk management to securities and equities. And for my role, we actually service grain elevators, commodity producers, livestock producers, and help them manage the risks that they face in the futures markets.
Well, that's what we really want to delve into right now. And one of the things when you look at grain marketing, my gosh, so many factors play into that, and you're sort of prognosticating the future. And, well, you've got to consider weather, what the weather's going to do. Well, supply and demand is a major factor. What all plays a part in determining what the grains are going to be doing price-wise and supply-wise?
So great question, and I should kind of start out with my disclaimer, right? These are not predictions, they're not trade recommendations, merely commentary about the markets and what I think. But so many factors today in a global economy that we're really in. You're right. It's not just what's the weather out my back door, but what's China doing? What's Brazil doing? What's the weather in Australia? All of those things that 30 years ago we never had to worry about, that today truly are factors that affect us.
Well, let's get to it. Let's first start with the corn market, and what do people like you look ahead and expect to see?
So I think we really have to kind of look backwards, look at what demand has done for the 2019 crop. How are we performing so far? Right up to today, our corn exports have been lagging, and so then that kind of starts to talk about the corn demand structure. What does 2020 look like? And pretty soon we're going to be looking at the 2020 acreage numbers. What do we get in the ground? Because that's really going to start to determine what gets grown in 2020 and what the outlook becomes. I truly think corn acres could be up significantly this year from previous years, and that sets the ball rolling. If you plug in those types of numbers and trend type yield numbers, all of a sudden you can really plug in a big carry out for corn. So I think we need to be really looking at our cost of production and getting our risk managed for 2020 corn.
Okay, well, that talks a little bit about the supply for demand. My gosh, we've had a couple of trade deals that have just come through. That's got to be a positive for price, you would think.
You would think. And any time you can fix a trade deal, it should be good. It truly feels to me the market's kind of I'll believe it when I see it type of attitude. They really want to see confirmations of purchases from places like China, Mexico, the EU. And once we see those, I think we can see the market turn around. But until we see that, the traders are pretty skeptical today.
Okay. So if you have an opportunity to project with what the knowledge that you have now, what would you look at as far as bushels coming in as compared to previous years?
I think at this time of year, it's a long time till the crop is in the bin, for sure. But I think you've got to talk statistical ranges, statistical averages. If you can plug somewhere in 92, 95 million corn acres and a 175 to 178 type of corn yield, and then even a 2% demand increase, you're still looking at a 2.3 or more, 2.4 billion bushel corn carry out. So pretty comfortable.
Okay, let's shift to wheat. Talk a little bit about the wheat market. And of course, they say that the United States is the breadbasket of the world, but we also know that there are other countries, Europe, for instance, that are big producers of wheat.
For sure. And when you look at a market of corn, beans, or wheat, which one is truly has that global sense? And to me, it's always wheat, because there's all but 1 month out of the year that someone is either growing, harvesting, or planting wheat. So it's truly a weather market 24/7 in the wheat world. And the wheat market's had a nice move on the Chicago futures over the last 2 to 3 months. We've set back just in the last week or so, but there were some weather concerns in places like Russia, Ukraine, and Australia. Obviously, those wildfires in Australia garnering lots of headlines and attention, but those fears have eased a little. We're still waiting to see wheat exports really pick up out of the U.S. And once we see that, we may continue to see some strength. But again, believe it when I see it kind of attitude.
Okay, let's shift then to soybeans. Whenever I think of beans in other countries, I always think of Brazil. And maybe this year with the China deal, maybe we'll have a little bit more business from that part of the world.
There's always hope that we can export more to China for sure, and this trade deal would, on the surface, lead you to believe there's some upside potential. Again, believe it when I see it. The struggle is Brazil is on tap to have potentially another record bean crop. Their beans are significantly cheaper than ours, especially when you consider the tariffs that are in place that did not get removed with the trade deal. So we're kind of fighting an uphill battle on beans, and we didn't see any specifics in that trade deal that would kind of hold China's feet to the fire. And I think that's what was lacking that the traders wish they would have seen.
Well, also helping the demand would be the production of biofuels. And are we seeing a little bit of a leveling off of some of that currently?
Yeah, that's been my outlook, is kind of a plateau. Not going away, not declining, but a bit of a plateau. We today blend 10% ethanol into gasoline. And as gasoline demand plateaus, so does ethanol. Until we see a change in that requirement, the blending rate of ethanol, it probably does plateau. And other big demand user of ethanol would be exports. And China was going to be a big taker of those. And today they've suspended their ethanol focus and their ethanol kind of mandates that they're looking at growing. So that kind of challenges the idea of continued exponential growth in the biofuel sector.
Bailey Echinger has been with us. Thanks, Bailey, for being with us today.
Thanks for having me. It's been a pleasure.
And stay with us, everybody. Back with more right after this.
Our farm department is committed to providing ag professionals the products, coverages, and peace of mind needed to run a successful operation. With our home office located in the heart of farm country, many of us have first-hand experience when it comes to farming, and we know how to take out the risk. Under one policy, we can provide total protection of your investment, from your home and barns to your equipment and livestock. Come join us and experience the Salina difference.